I was born in Richmond, Virginia, but I grew up in California. And I've split my time since then between California and Florida. How does it affect my work? I grew up idolizing Walt Disney, all the early Disney movies, and I had a very early love of animation and cartoons. And that idea of wonderment and magic and imagination, I instill in a lot of my work. So that's as far as it gets in relating where I came from to my artwork. My favorite artist is Egon Schiele, who was a protege of Gustav Klimt. And of course, Klimt founded the Viennese Secession because just like the Impressionists, he was an outcast from the traditional artists at the time, and they wouldn't show his stuff, just like the Salon in Paris wouldn't show the Impressionists' work. And so it was somewhat of a revolution in art happening in Vienna at the time, and Egon Schiele was very similar to Klimt early on, and then he sort of developed his own style, but he was a real rebel. And he is my favorite artist. He influenced a lot of my work early on. I'm also influenced by Surrealists, Dali a bit. I also love the Impressionists, and I've been influenced by them. Yeah, so mainly older stuff are my primary influences. And a little bit cartoons, because I used to do cartooning and illustration, so I bring a kind of graphical look to a lot of what I do. Yeah, I started off doing illustrations when I was 16 years old, and by the time I was about 18, I was the official illustrator for Video Maker magazine based in Chico, California, and so I started using Photoshop very early on. And then I worked at Pittard Sullivan in Hollywood, and I would work on set design and in-house animations. And then after that, I started my own independent graphic design firm where I would design logos, I would do animations, I've done children's books, I've done character development for different studios, including Disney and Nickelodeon. And then I was script writing as well for them. So I was involved in all aspects of development in the cartoon industry. I'm not doing that anymore, but there's a whole lot of visual development and character design involved in that. And that's really what I was doing until the year 2020. I had not painted at all. I only started painting at the tail end of 2020 because I wanted to get away from digital. I wanted to do something more traditional media. And it's frankly very cathartic, sweating in my garage out here with nothing but shorts on, just painting. So I made the transition, and I'm not doing commercial work anymore. Oh, tell you about my favorite medium. My favorite medium is oil, although I do use acrylic a lot as the base because acrylic dries very quickly and you can build up color and texture very fast with acrylic. But oil I've always loved because of the smell, because of the texture, because of how versatile it is. So oil is my go-to, and the brilliance of the color, I just prefer it. Some people say it's more difficult than acrylic, but I also think it's more flexible. And it does appeal to the classical tradition, oil painting, right? They weren't painting in acrylics. Leonardo didn't use acrylics. I find inspiration by looking at great art. That's one source of inspiration. And the other source of inspiration is my imagination. That's it. So my imagination generates most of my ideas, but a lot of my techniques are informed by looking in person at really great art. Like I just went to the Louvre, and I went to the Muséum d'Orsay in Paris this summer, and the work is just stunning. The work is so stunning. You can't see a painting, a print of it. It just doesn't have the same effect as actually seeing the technique of the artists on canvas. So I would say those two things are my inspirations. I don't know what motivates me to create, but I am motivated to create. In fact, when I was 2 years old, my mom used to tell me I would sit on my high chair and they would give me a stack of scratch paper and a pencil or markers, and I would just sit for hours as a 2-year-old, just hours, drawing. And I really never stopped doing that. So I don't know where that comes from. If you're doing it, by the age of 2, it means it must be innate. The passion was innate, and I've always been passionate about art and music. Deeply, deeply passionate about it. Indescribably passionate. In fact, my psychiatrist tells me that I have to do art because it keeps me normal. So no, it does. I'm a depressed individual, as most creative people are, and art helps me exorcise the demons. When I'm painting, I am so focused on the act of creation that nothing else is processed in my brain. And getting in that flow state is very important for mental health. And I achieve that flow state when I'm creating music and when I'm painting. So it has a huge health benefit for me. Yeah, so I tell my wife, sorry, I have to paint, honey. No, my doctor told me I have to paint.